I'm Sonic, a little ball of super energy in an extremely handsome package. On my planet, people were always after my powers, so I came to yours. It gets a little lonely, but that's okay. I am living my best life on Earth. Ow! Let the plate Sonic! Let the bitch's mount also Sonic! Ugh, I can't with that guy. Uh-oh.
Why are you hiding out in my garage?
They're coming for me! If they steal my power, they could conquer the universe. You have to help me.
No, I don't.
Please, it's life or death.
Good morning, my rural chum.
Mr. Dr. Robotnik. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to tell me where it is.
Wait! Don't hurt him! Road trip?
This can't be happening to me.
Oh my god, stop the car right now!
What?
The world's largest rubber band ball? We gotta see it!
No, this is not some fun family road trip.
You're right. It was lame. Gift shop was cool, though.
Whatever this creature is, I'm going to uncover the source of its power.
Yeah, hey.
I just thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk.
Of course I want a latte.
I love the way you make them!
We gotta lay low. Let me show you how it's done. So should we get out of here?
Yeah, time to go.
I always want to do this. Nailed it! Uh-oh.
Let's go!
Here comes the boom.
How are you not dead?
I have no idea.
Oh! Give me a big, fat break!
That was an illegal left, by the way.
Aw, this one is cute. Let's keep him. Oh, come on! You've got car insurance, right?
Why would you throw your life away for this silly little alien?
Good time.
He's my friend.
Let's go!
This is my power. And I'm using it to protect my friends.
Let's go!
So, you're supposed to be Tom's best friend that he won't shut up about. Well, I don't see the appeal. That is very gross.
Let's go!
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie. We are part of the Main Damie Network, and to find more from us, check out the website at themaindamie.com or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Damie. We're also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gvnation.com. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio, and with me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. I'm finishing a chili dog.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, we're going to move on from that one to introduce, because we have a very special episode this week. Mark, although he never really mentions it on this podcast, has a video game podcast, the Game Vault podcast, and we have here today with us is his co-host on that show, Tom Schuster and Jenny Aquino. Say hello, Tom and Jenny.
Hello.
Hello.
Great. Perfect.
That's all you
We're
wanted,
running
right? We're done.
100%
Okay.
in terms of energy. Well, as long as you don't try a bit that Mark. Wow, that might have been your worst, Mark.
No,
You also
no.
tried to do a voice.
The Fast and the Furious bit from a couple weeks ago on our podcast may have been the worst.
We put the kibosh on it on this one because I was sensing that he was going to try and pull a double up on that one. So maybe for episode 100 we'll rank your worst ones.
Yeah.
Today is a semi-special episode. We have them on here to talk about the much maligned 2020 release known as Sonic the Hedgehog. We decided to do this episode before we all watched it, obviously, and now it's doing gangbusters in theaters. So here we are to talk about it. But before we go into it, everybody, what is your experience going in with Sonic the Hedgehog? And we'll start with a guest. Tom, what's your experience with Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of past and present?
My experience with Sonic goes a long way back. I didn't own a Genesis as a kid, but I had plenty of friends who did, and I always like to play Sonic, but I didn't play Sonic, I guess, like a normal person would. I just literally tried to run through it as fast as I possibly could every time because Sonic is fast, so why wouldn't I? I was also a pretty big fan of the Saturday morning cartoon, the one that Urkel did the voice for Sonic. Jaleel White did the voice of Sonic. And now that I'm a retro gamer, and that's like what I do, I own like almost all the Sonic games, so I now get to go back and relive them whenever I want.
Jen, what about you?
I'm the opposite of all of you, probably. I never really played Sonic, and the first time I really played it was for Retro Roulette on our own podcast.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, thanks.
Okay, and our usuals. Dan and Mark, where are you coming from?
I'm coming from somewhere where Tom, in the middle with Tom. I also didn't own a Sega Genesis, but I had family members who did. I loved Sonic and Sonic 2 with Tails. Tails was my favorite because I was always second player with my cousin. I never watched the cartoon, but I'd seen bits and pieces of it, and he just seemed very mean in the cartoon. Like, I guess he was trying to come off as edgy and cool, but he always seemed like he was condescending towards the other animals and everything, and I wasn't a fan of that.
Sure, he had an attitude, as the song says.
It's a toot era.
I don't like that, man. You know, just be nice. Why can't everyone just be nice to each other?
Ew, what version of Dan do we have on this podcast?
The one that
Is
shows
Jen
up
here?
on my podcast, that's the one we have.
Trust me, he's not doing anything special because I'm around.
No, I'm a nice guy.
Ew.
I am a nice guy.
Stop saying it so slowly.
I'm a nice
His wife
dude,
says
right?
ew. That's good. Good start.
Yeah,
Man,
that's-
we might
that's
have to
never
bury
good.
this podcast. We're just gonna skip this week.
Just start over.
Between the chili dog incident and now this,
Creepy nice guy voice.
yeah.
So
Oh.
my experience with Sonic, I had a Sega Genesis, and I was probably much more back then of a Sonic kid than a Mario kid, because the Genesis was my system. The NES was the family / my sister system, which meant that I had to play Mario 3 when the family was around or something. But this was the first one that was in my room on my TV, so I got to play Sonic the Hedgehog for as long as I wanted. And I was really into it, the cartoons, the comics. I had all 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. I even ended up buying Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast, which is when I realized, maybe this is going in a bad direction.
That's when you realized?
Yeah, that's when I realized. You know, I was really into Sonic at that point until it's only been in teenage to early 20s years that I realized that Mario is the much better game overall. But I think I play Sonic Mania, which we played on the Extra Life stream a little bit, and that's just because it reminds me of all those old games.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to play Sonic, right? It was too violent.
Too violent. No, I just didn't have a Sega Genesis. My cousin did. I never really cared to play it. I was a Nintendo kid through and through, although I did watch the show. I think I played one level of Sonic Mania on the Extra Life stream, and that is my Sonic life. I was super indifferent to this movie going in, and I am super indifferent coming out of it. But to go into a little bit of detail, Sonic the Hedgehog of 2020 was directed by Jeff Fowler, who directed an animated short called Go for Broke 16 years ago. And that's it.
Nice.
It stars the voice of Ben Schwartz as the titular Sonic the Hedgehog, Jim Carrey, James Marsden, Tika Sumpter, Natasha Rothwell, and Adam Pally. Has an IMDb score of 7.0 and a Rotten Tomato score of, as of Monday, 64%. Budget, $85 million estimated. Box office as of opening weekend, $57 million U.S. opening. To give a little background of this film, originally set to release by Sony Pictures under the Columbia Pictures arm sometime in 2018. Rights were eventually acquired by Paramount Pictures, and in February 2018, they announced it would be released on November 15th, 2019. Then they decided to push it up to November 8th. And then they released a trailer on April 4th, 2019. The Faded trailer premiered at CinemaCon. What was that?
It says day that will live in infamy.
Yeah, they showed it on CinemaCon April 4th, 2019, and eventually was released on April 30th to the internets to very negative reception. It took them about 4 days or so, and then they decided to announce that they were going to redesign Sonic May 2nd, 2019, And then they released a trailer after that work was done on November 12th with the new design of Sonic to much more positive reception. And then it was released on February 14th, 2020. They estimate the redesign cost about $5 million. So
Not too bad.
Yeah.
it's a low number. I don't know how much they spent on marketing, so that those are always the numbers that are kind of hidden. But I mean, if this movie makes $200 million, then it's probably money well spent. But at this point, what do you guys think about this film? Let's start
Who
with
wants
Tom.
to go first? Tom?
I enjoyed it. I went in with low expectations just because I know how well video game movies do and how they bastardize characters very quickly. It was interesting how they tried to write a new origin story for Sonic. I guess Sonic never really had one, so it was kind of interesting to see them come up with their own. I liked the little amount of fan service they did with a couple of things, like they snuck in the Sonic the Hedgehog theme song at some point. Mark will bring up some other stuff that they did, but I think a 7 is a very fair score for it right now. It was a popcorn movie, as I like to call it.
Okay, Jen?
I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
I think the best way for me to describe how I felt about it was just affirming the fact that it was a kid's movie. I can't be too harsh on it. For what it was, I didn't hate it. There were parts of it where I felt like it was a little cheesy, but again, that's what kids love the most. And there were some things I thought I could improve upon. I did like the little bit of fan service that they had in it, like Tom said, how they played the Sonic theme song towards the end of the movie. That was cute. I kind of wish they did a little bit more of that. And the little bit of Sonic that I know, I could have appreciated that kind of stuff a little bit more. But overall, I'd say I'm a little bit lower than Tom. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. What about you, Dan?
I didn't hate it. I also didn't love this movie. Yeah, I think it was harmless. Again, it's a kids movie, so going into it, I figured, they were going to have certain things that would appeal just to the kids, and I was hoping there would be some stuff that would appeal to grown-ups. Wasn't too much of that, but I liked Jim Carrey. He went back to more of his slapstick way of acting, and not that he was phenomenal, but he didn't ruin the movie. I enjoyed him. James Marsden, again, one of the most overlooked actors in Hollywood, I think. He's just such a nice guy. He looks like a dude you just want to hang out with, and everyone just kind of passes over him. And I think the redesign definitely helped the movie out, because I can't imagine sitting there for an hour and a half looking at the abomination that was first passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing was
an
nightmare fuel.
abomination.
I would be too distracted at looking at a semi-realistic blue hedgehog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have taken me out of the movie. But yeah, I think for what it was doing, it did it well. It was semi-faithful to the. I mean, how faithful can you be to just a hedgehog running as fast as he can around loop-de-loops and going through, fire pits and whatnot? But you know what? Listen, I left thinking, I didn't hate it. So I'm gonna split the difference. I would say 6.5, more towards the 7 area.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah. So I was excited going in just because it was either going to be something that I enjoyed or it was going to be such a terrible mess that it would be just fun sitting in that theater watching it collapse. So I was a little nervous when they started the origin story until they showed that the people that lived on the island were echidnas, like Knuckles. So I was like, all right, they're not completely abandoning, the history of Sonic to try to write their own thing. They're at least sticking close to that. And it was just, the whole movie it's just a very fine kids movie. Like, there's not much to hate about it. It'll probably fall under the same realm if I ever get to see Detective Pikachu. In that it'll have some good references for us and some, good jokes for adults, and people fans of the series, but it's not going to be overly, end up on anybody's top 10 list or anything like that for the year. And I completely agree with Dan in terms of James Marsden. He should get a lot more, leading man roles. We just watched a movie a few weeks ago, Killers with Ashton Kutcher, and I'm like, I'd much rather see James Marsden in that role, coming out of this movie. It's just I don't know why. It's just everything I've seen him in, I've liked. So it was nice to see that he brought that same acting ability to this role and didn't like make it feel like a paycheck movie. But I got to say they did a real good job of giving Sonic reasons to have the emotional roller coaster that he kind of goes through in the movie. Because there's none of that in the series or the video games. He's always, the top of the food chain, super happy, go lucky kind of thing. But they tried to inject the best they could without going over kids' heads, why certain things happened in the movie. And I thought that was well done. It could have been very poorly written and very cheesy and just tried to talk down to the kids. It's my one pet peeve with kids movies is I just don't want them to really talk down to the kids. I remember all the movies we grew up with, and a lot of them didn't feel like, they talked down to us like we were imbeciles watching the movie. And that's what I enjoyed, is that this did enough that even the kids around me didn't get bored or start making noise or anything in the movie theater. Everybody was locked in. So that's my number one takeaway, that they did their job, is that experience.
Sometimes I like it when the movie talks dumb to me, though. it helps me recognize, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah. And yeah, I would probably put it at, I would say it's fine. So like a 7 is probably good. There's nothing really terrible in it. There are some parts that you're like, okay, it's not for, someone my age. But does that mean I wouldn't watch a sequel? No. I would definitely watch the sequel to this movie. But yeah, it's not the, complete catastrophe that we thought it was going to be. Unlike a movie like Cats, which turned into the catastrophe that we thought it was going to be. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised by that.
Okay. Yeah, it's the world's most okayest movie. It's really what it comes down to. It's
Anthony,
unmemorable to me. What's up?
At one point, did you feel like Sonic was going to steal Tika Sumpter from James Marsden?
There was definitely some sexual tension going on.
There was, right? And that's just always happens to James Marsden, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. He has the girl, and then some dude swoops in and just takes him
right.
over, takes the woman. Is this
turn into an X-Men podcast? Is that what's happening?
Well,
I did think about that during the movie. I was like, well, in this movie, James Marsden can't possibly lose the girl.
Because they're married. But that's not true. In Superman Returns, wasn't Lois and I don't know his character's name, weren't they? They were engaged, I think.
Yeah.
And they had a kid, but it was Soup's kid.
Yep.
Still,
James
Lois
Marsden
Lane.
is Hollywood's cuck.
Damn.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Leading
for him.
cuck, James Marsden.
I never actually thought about that until you just brought it up.
Oh,
And now all of his
100%.
movies are going through my head. And I'm like, yep, he lost the
Enchanted.
girl on that one. Lost the
Right.
girl on that one.
Yeah, Enchanted. But the thing of it is, it's that he's always super nice, even when he loses the girl. It's
He's
never like
totally
it's never like
understanding.
because he's the bad guy. It's not like he's the bad guy that loses the girl. It's like, oh well, all right, well I hope there's someone out there for me.
Right. It's like I
Oh,
lost
shucks,
out.
guys. I mean, the
lost
first season of
fair and
Westworld.
square.
The first season of Westworld is entirely that. James
That's
Marsden
right.
gets killed at the end of every day.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, but if James, if you're listening, you can live with us, and we won't leave you.
Wow.
All right, you can have my wife.
Dan is completely unintimidated by James Marsden.
You heard it here first.
I just want James Marsden to be a part of my life somehow. He seems like a super nice guy.
Yeah, he's the nicest, handsome guy in Hollywood.
Yeah, someone showed a picture of him holding a gigantic umbrella, and I just thought, like, you know what, he probably has that for loved ones, and he just but there's no loved ones in his life.
Are you writing a James Marsden fan fiction?
I'm trying to write him
Living
into
it.
our lives.
He's living.
I think 50 Shades ruined you, Dan.
Maybe if we got James Marsden in 50 Shades, it would be better.
Oh boy.
I would watch that. Yeah, that's a good swap.
I want to make at the end of this podcast. I want to make a list of movies that would have been better at James Marsden.
That's a new segment. Would James Marsden make this better?
I'm all for it.
Yeah. To me,
you just made it up. Yeah, I'm sure you are.
That's a good point.
To me, this movie is a 6. Kids are gonna love it, and more power to them. It's better than it needs to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm just coming at it with a no invested interest in Sonic. It was a movie I saw, and I'll probably forget about. I was barely able to write the plot because I forgot what most things that happened in it. It's gonna live in my short-term memory for maybe a week, and then it will eventually just find its way out. I won't watch it. I probably won't watch the sequel. It was just fine. Jim Carrey was fine like through the first 45 minutes, and then I kind of grew tired of him. He was fine.
Can I interject real quick? I feel like they hired Jim Carrey to just be Jim Carrey from 1995. Yeah, I think that's all they wanted.
He wasn't bad, but he was stretched super thin by the end, where it was just kind of like, all right, well, he only had one place to go, and he got there super early. Mm-hmm. So, like, he went to 11 in the first scene he was in, and then he had to try and sustain that for the rest of the movie.
Well, it's tough when you're asked to be a character named Dr. Robotnik. You know, there's really not much material to work with there, and you're a maniacal genius.
Dan, you mean Eggman, right?
Well, it's Dr. Robotnik, right? Isn't it Ivo Robotnik?
Yes, but
yeah. Eggman.
In the U.S. stuff, his name is Robotnik, but in Japan, he's named Eggman.
And I thought that was cool how Sonic calls him Egghead and Eggman and everything like that. And that's the fan service that we appreciated. But yeah, I agree. I think after a while, it gets a little shticky with Jim Carrey. But, you know, again, where else could he really go? You can't turn in a powerhouse performance.
Yeah, all I'm hearing from Ant is that they need to release the Fowler cut.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is gonna be the one film that Jeff Fowler directs for a long time.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe he gets
Sonic 2.
Yeah, he'll get the sequel, and who knows what else. I mean, they seem to have a hit on their hands. Yeah,
it's weird that this movie has become the male representative in the culture wars of women versus men.
Yeah, this is. I don't think.
I think we need a redo and figure out a better one.
Yeah, we need to hit the reset button hard on that one. But that's really like the Birds of Prey fans have really made this war. They started it for some odd reason. Like you're getting, and I was kind of disappointed in this. I before going to the movie, I saw a bunch of tweets that Sonic had like homophobic slurs and everything. So I was like, ooh, I kind of want to pick out what the slurs are just to see like if people are telling the truth. And I mean, thankfully there are none, but I was a little disappointed. You're just like, oh, well, they're liars. I wanted to see if they tried to sneak something through and then be like, oh, got him. But no, this was a very clean, very family-friendly movie from top to bottom.
So to recap, Dan is disappointed that they didn't drop the F word.
No, I'm disappointed that these people would lie. They would go to such lengths to lie about it. I'm very happy that there was nothing like that in there because that would have bummed me out. But I thought to myself, ooh, this could be interesting because now I'm going to try to pinpoint what these people are talking about.
Yeah. Well,
but there were none.
Well, don't worry. When the sequel comes out, Dan, they're gonna introduce Tails, and he's just the most racist character in the Sonic universe. So
right, because it's okay from where they come from.
Yeah.
Right. We could say certain words.
The N word means something different there.
Right. Right. It's like how like how a certain word in England is a cigarette or a bundle of wood. I'm not going to say it on the podcast,
right,
but
we've already gone way too far with this joke.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
This is middle of the road for this podcast, Tom. Don't worry.
Yes, don't worry.
Okay. Just making sure.
I insinuated that E.L. James has never come before last episodes.
Right. Yeah. We don't say anything bad, but we toe the line and
Just
we
insinuate.
we insinuate.
We may have also insinuated that Jay-Z and Beyonce told Obama where to send the drone strikes as well. So
With
this is
the
the middle of the road.
The less we mention about the Time Cop episode, the better.
Oh yeah, that was a good episode. Go back if you're listening. Go back and listen to the Time Cop episode.
Yeah, you could probably, check out here on this one. That's fun. Time Cop one though, that one's a good one.
Because of the implication.
I thought it was really interesting that DC was in this movie. Sonic was
Flash.
reading Flash comics.
Flash,
I thought that
yeah.
was pretty interesting that they've now shown that the Flash is a thing in this universe.
It's canon now.
Yeah. Now who's faster, the Flash or Sonic?
Well, that maybe we'll find out in a sequel
This is
sometime.
crossover.
I hope so.
Sonic joins the
Sonic
Justice
hit 300 miles per hour in this movie, right?
Yeah, so Flash is way faster.
Yeah,
Especially
but
when he taps into the Speed Force.
Sonic did not go supersonic, Daniel.
That's true. He didn't
I
have
didn't realize that
the
was a
Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, he basically goes Super Saiyan. If you've seen Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, it's the same type of deal.
Okay.
If he gets all 6 Chaos Emeralds,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, right. As one does.
he turns yellow essentially.
And then he snaps his fingers. What happens?
Nothing really. Just
He fucks James Marsden's wife. Snaps his fingers and he's already balls deep in Tika Sumpter.
and I can't imagine Ben Schwartz's voice just going to town. God, that'd be the most annoying thing. I'm inside
John
of
Ralphio.
you.
The word.
It's the word. Yeah, the entire time.
By Alexis.
The entire time, Jen and I are just like,
I feel like they could have picked a better voice for Sonic.
I agree. I mean, he wasn't bad, but
He wasn't. He was okay, just like the rest.
it should have
Who
been James
you
Marsden.
Casting as the voice.
Who would I cast? Jaleel White to reprise his role as Sonic.
So they had to
What-
dig him
what
out
about
of an underpass in the Hollywood Hills.
Who do you think would have been better?
Next to
Jen?
Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks.
Me?
Yeah, me? Who would have been a better voice for Sonic?
Putting her on the spot.
put her on the
Jeremy Renner. That's what you get when you put me on the spot. The answer is
Jeez.
Jeremy Renner.
If you
This
could
movie
put
get
Ryan-
canceled so fast.
If you could put Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, I don't see why you couldn't put Jeremy Renner as Sonic.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Dan.
the baggage that goes along with Jeremy Renner, though.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner story.
Hey, the alleged
The Jeremy Renner
baggage.
story.
Just
The
does
legend.
all his line readings with
You
a
coulda-
gun
you
to his
coulda
own
put-
temple.
You could have put Jeremy Renner store, product placement in there, just like the 800 other things they did in this
There
movie.
you go.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they-
the product
they
placement didn't touch upon.
Yeah, they
We
didn't
have
turn
to
down money in
stop
this
at-
movie.
We have to stop at the Jeremy Renner store before we go to the Olive Garden.
Mhm. It could have been featured at the biker bar.
That's
It was
true.
rustic.
That is very rustic.
There's nothing I'm more sure of that one of the writers of this movie, fought for that Olive Garden joke the entire time. Where they say they have the back and forth and finish it with
Here
the,
with family.
yeah, that thing. Like somebody in the writers' room fought for that to stay in the script.
They probably have stock in Olive Garden.
Yeah, it's like trust me, it's
Stocks are
funny,
down.
dude.
We gotta get them in there somehow.
People love it.
Plus, for Valentine's Day, it was the never-ending breadstick bouquet or whatever.
Oh.
So maybe that's why he had the product placement. It was a tie-in.
They tried.
I mean, there was a couple others, but I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Pepsi, I think, was
Was it
one.
Pep-
So I think Sony's pretty notorious for doing these obvious product placements in their
Yeah.
films.
With Power Rangers, didn't they do like Krispy Kreme and
Yeah.
Home Depot and stuff like that? They had a lot of stuff. But yeah, the Chevy truck, I believe.
Toyota.
Oh, it was Toyota. Okay. So I didn't know. I'm not a car guy. Right? Jen just gave me this like, come on, Dan.
Because I said it like 3 times.
Well,
I don't think that was a Chevy.
You're a woman. How am I supposed to trust you with machinery?
I think the bad guys were driving these.
Don't help him, Tom.
Sorry.
See, I was right. They were Chevys. Clearly Chevy cars.
Chevrolet, like a rock.
Yeah, you almost said Chevrolet.
I almost did say Chevrolet.
They are Chevrolets.
Touche.
All right, so we're going to get into the plot of Sonic the Hedgehog. Before we do, we're going to take a step back and listen to a couple words from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Steve,
And this is Adam,
and we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast.
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
Or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder.
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribed to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
Welcome back, everybody, and it's time to get into the plot of Sonic the Hedgehog. We open up in San Francisco. There's a chase and some destruction as Robotnik chases Sonic through the streets. And it literally starts with a, yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got myself into this situation.
Not a great start.
Because that was big when the movie was written.
Yep, probably.
It was big when Sonic was around.
Yeah. So from there, we flash back to when Sonic was a young hedgehog, and if this was written more recent, they probably would have tried to capitalize on Baby Sonic, but they didn't. So we flash back when he's a young hedgehog and being taken care of by an owl named Longclaw.
Yeah, I don't know, and people out there listening maybe can, tweet at the account and let us know. Is this the first appearance of this owl? Or is this... Either way, it was strange, but it was something that happened right after this that gave me hope for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so maybe it's from Sonic 2006. But I don't know. Longclaw is now canon, and they'll probably have to retrofit it into the upcoming Sonic games moving forward. Longclaw warns that Sonic needs to hide his secret powers, or else bad people will try and capture him. So basically, the origin story of Elsa from Frozen is taken and given to Sonic. Sonic doesn't listen, and a bunch of masked echidnas try to capture or kill him. Then Longclaw gives him a sack of rings that can help him teleport anywhere he wants to go, and sends him to Earth. And Longclaw is never seen again.
But you never see a body, so
right.
Could
in the
be back for the
sequel,
sequel.
Could be
all
a
the
Kenobi
kids,
incident.
Yeah, all the kids are going to be clamoring for more Longclaw.
Justice for Longclaw.
Yeah.
Jen cried in the theater after she died. She was inconsolable for the next 20 minutes.
I feel like this is probably something that happened for Dan.
The kid next to me was giving her tissues. It was very adorable.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not real, lady. That's what he kept saying. It's not real.
They just stopped drawing her.
It's true. It's exactly what happened. Yeah. So we flash forward several years later, and Sonic is living in Green Hills, Montana, which that's a little nod to
the Green Hill Zone.
Green Hill Zone. That's the only thing I know about the games. The Green Hill Zone. He is living in secret among the townspeople, and then we get to learn from his point of view a few of the townspeople's names, including Sheriff Wachowski, played by James Marsden, and his wife Maddie, who is a veterinarian, played by Tika Sumpter. And then we get Crazy Carl, the only person that knows about Sonic, but everyone chalks him up to just being crazy.
Hold on, you need to interject. That was he actually showed a drawing of Sonic.
Oh, so must go fast.
So they were real woke.
Yeah.
So why is that considered woke?
I don't know, because they know a meme. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
is that what woke
Sonic
is? It was a meme from a long time ago.
It's a really, really old meme, and the drawing he shows of Sonic is that meme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
See, I didn't get that.
somebody on like a DeviantArt page or something or somewhere drew it and wrote Sonic.
It was me.
You know,
I just never took credit for it.
it was you. Got it.
I was a little too embarrassed. But now that this movie's killing it,
Now that you got 800 likes, maybe you'll reveal yourself as the
the
original.
second I get 1,300, ooh, just you wait, brother.
I can't wait to hear that.
It's slowed down recently though. I'm stuck on 876, so running out of steam.
So Sonic hangs out in the forest in some sort of underground cavity of some sort with a whole bunch of cool shit. He's got comics, big hats, stereos. So basically he's a common thief, and all he really wants is a friend. He fucks around, trolling Sheriff Tom at a speed trap, and Tom finds a quill that he leaves behind, which is big and blue. And then we learn a little backstory about Sheriff Tom. He gets accepted to join the San Francisco Police Force, which is easily one of the worst career decisions ever made. But he basically feels like he's a big fish in a small pond and has lived in Green Hills his whole life, but has a beautiful house, which he's going to sacrifice for a 300 square foot apartment worth $4,600 a month.
Yeah, I love
brought to you by Zillow. That was another product.
Oh, that's right. Zillow was on.
Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say they even mentioned it by name. She's like, I was looking at it on Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
The best place to find a new place to live. Wink.
Yeah. Sonic then happens upon a Little League baseball game and watches a kid win the game, and everybody's all happy, and all his friends lift him up and all that kind of shit. Then when everybody leaves...
I feel like that's never happened to Ant. That's why he's just like glossing it over.
That's not true. I actually stole home to win a baseball game once.
I'm pretty sure I was on that team.
So we have confirmation. Ant is just like slinging it back at me tonight. God damn.
This is my only form of social interaction these days, so bear with me.
Yeah. And for some reason, somebody on Twitter marked this moment up and reminded everybody that Tony Danza was Tug Out in the Who's the Boss opening credits. So for some reason, it was like the guy was like, yeah, just a reminder, Sonic scored here, but Tony Danza was out at home plate, and I'm like, okay, like I don't see the comparison here.
That's a long grudge to hold.
Yeah. It was like somebody that's held that grudge since Who's the Boss was on the air.
Tony Danza knows what he did.
Finally. It's
that's
a Judith Lake burner account.
That's why he died in Angels in the Outfield. He knows what he did.
Yeah.
Wait, did he die in Angels in the Outfield?
He winds up dying eventually. He only gets like another 6 months or something like that.
As we all do, Dan. We all eventually die.
It's true. So after everybody leaves, Sonic does a whole Bugs Bunny routine after the game where he plays himself in baseball, but it's a super hollow existence, being the world's only blue alien hedgehog. So he runs around the bases really fast with no specific goal in mind, and then gets really electrical and sends out an EMP of sorts, and it knocks all the power out in the entire Pacific Northwest. The blackout gets the attention of the U.S. government, who thinks it could be terrorist or some bunch of other explanations. So they contract the job out to Dr. Ivo Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, the greatest technology mind in the world. Has advanced drone technology and should be able to figure out what happened. So Robotnik arrives in Green Hills via an enormous techie camper with a team of smarmy assholes, and shows up, and he talks down to Neil McDonough, who's playing an army major for this scene only for some reason. And,
I wonder if he had a bigger role, and then they just were like, yeah, you know what, we only need you for one scene.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a huge star, but he's one of those faces that's like, oh, hey, I know that guy from something I don't know. I don't remember what it is, but I know that guy.
Angels in the Outfield.
There you go.
I think he was in the Street Fighter movie, right? The Street Fighter reboot or something like that. He plays M. Bison, doesn't he?
He's everywhere. You think he's not, but he's everywhere.
I don't know if that's true, though.
He's everywhere you want to be.
It's canon now, Dan. That's fact.
That he's
that's
everywhere?
how the internet works now.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
You put it out into the ether and it becomes fact.
Well, if it's on a podcast, it must be true.
It's everybody else's responsibility to prove you're wrong.
That's a good point.
You're sitting back drinking your coffee.
I like that guy. I feel like he's a pretty good character actor.
Right.
And anything you see him in, he has a pretty good range, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what he was. Yeah, he's in a bunch of things. I think he was in Captain America.
Yeah, he's in like Captain America.
Oh, that's right. He's Dum Dum Dugan.
Yep.
That's right. He was so good in that movie. I remember so much about him.
But back to Jim Carrey. This is a full-on Jeffrey Combs and Reanimator performance, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
And Robotnik sends out his army of drones to find the cause of the blackout. Eventually, it closes in on Sonic's home, and he escapes and tries to find a place to hide in order to engage those rings to go to the Mushroom Planet that he doesn't want to go to. See, I thought is the Mushroom Planet canon?
And I think it was a reference to Super Mario Brothers.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that the end credit sequence might have brought in Super Mario.
I read that it's actually from Sonic and Knuckles.
Okay.
Supposedly that's where Knuckles is. So I don't know if they're setting that up for the future.
Maybe.
Yeah, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, because
that's what I read.
those that played the game, the introduction of Knuckles in Sonic 3 is that Robotnik uses him to try and kill Sonic. So that would make sense if they were setting that up.
Okay. So Sonic heads to Tom's house and hides out in the garage before he gets ready to use his teleporting rings.
He was in your house, Tom?
Yes. Right. Yes, he called
Sheriff
me Donut Lord and everything.
Donut Lord. Yeah. That's another thing. Sonic calls Tom Donut Lord over
Now,
the whole movie.
Jen and I were talking about this on the ride home because, again, I brought up the whole, like the tweets from the Birds of Prey fans. So was the Donut Lord the homophobic slur?
I don't know.
No.
Right? Because are we overthinking it?
Yes, you
I
are
didn't,
very much overthinking.
I didn't read the tweet that you read, so it's hard for me to tell.
One of them was kind of crazy. It's basically, I took my family to see Sonic the Hedgehog and was appalled by the homophobic slurs that were being hurled. So we went and saw Birds of Prey instead and had a great time. Like, well, you took your kids to see an R-rated movie?
That sounds like a joke tweet to me. That you took literal.
No, I don't. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Was there a /S after the?
No, it was a person with a Birds of Prey icon.
So bot.
It's very possible.
Bots now.
Well, I don't know. Now, listen, you're making me question reality here.
That's right.
I don't know.
You're gaslighting the fuck out of you.
You are, and I don't like it. So I'm gonna ask you to stop doing it.
I'll try.
Thank you.
We're Jaden Smithing you. Your eyes aren't real, man.
Yeah. Well, don't do it. Please.
Okay. Stop it, please.
Back to having Sonic in Tom's house.
Yeah. It's in Tom's house, and Tom's wife, Maddie, is over in San Francisco visiting her sister and looking at apartments. Maddie's sister, for some reason, hates Tom's guts. And I think we all know the reason why.
Yeah.
She's the worst character in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of found her funny.
I did not.
I like some of the. I liked when she got tied up. That was cool.
Well, yeah, that was
like if they kind of showed why she hated him so much a little bit more, maybe it would have been better.
But I mean, they do show you why.
He shows up.
Just look at James Marsden. And then just
Jelly.
No, I just look at him and then look at them.
No.
Are you saying she wants to break herself off a piece of James Marsden? Is that why? She wants her all to herself?
Do you think maybe it was like one of those things where they were Maddie and the sister were at a bar and James Marsden was there and like the sister was like, oh, he's fine as a motherfucker. I'm gonna go get me some of James Marsden. And then James Marsden took a liking to Maddie instead.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Seymour Skinner fell in love with the
Roy.
Roy.
There it goes.
You are writing a fan fiction.
How do I escape the Simpsons references? How do I do it?
We do
you
it
don't, John. John, wow.
Ooh.
Tom.
Ooh.
It's okay.
Sorry.
One of Dan's friends. It's okay. One of Dan's friends. You got one of them right.
I was looking at Instagram and saw someone else named John and said what I saw.
Sure it was.
It's okay, Steph. We get it wrong all the time.
We do Simpsons references at least once.
And for those at home, Steph is Jen's sister. That's a little behind the scenes, little Easter egg for you guys.
Well, I am the king of inside jokes. Yeah.
So again, Tom hears a noise in his garage, thinks it's a raccoon, so he goes in to shoot it with a trank. But it's Sonic, and he opens up a portal to San Francisco and drops his bag of rings on the Trans-America Pyramid before the portal closes, and he passes out. So Tom puts him in a cage, and Sonic eventually wakes up and walks right out of the cage, and they this is their meet cute, and they just talk about, hey, some guys are coming for me, and I lost my bag of rings, and I could talk, and I'm a weird blue hedgehog. And Tom's like, that's crazy. And then some drones show up, and he's like, you gotta hide me. This is crazy. And Tom's like, this is crazy. Hide in my attic.
This is actual dialogue from the movie, folks.
Yeah, more or
This
less.
is crazy. Hide in my attic. Crazy.
Yeah. It's like he's the most trusting cop I've ever seen.
Yeah, he doesn't really question much.
It's because he's like a sheriff in a real small town, so he knows everybody.
I know.
So
I
he
don't know
trusts
why
everybody.
he would want to. I don't know why he would want to leave.
Right. That's such a sweet gig, man.
Yeah.
And especially to go to San Francisco, that place is a shithole.
It's become a beat cop in San Francisco.
Right. Yeah, he even says that. I just want to walk the beat and help people. No one's gonna like you in San Francisco, dude.
Tom's getting shot like first year.
First day on the job.
Right, because he's very gullible. So he'd be like, hey, yo, dude, I need your help, man. And it's
He'd start talking to a donut and get his ass kicked.
Oh, yeah, like, this guy's crazy. And then, yeah, someone would beat his ass, for sure.
Yeah. It's like even Sonic, who has no friends, was the one that was basically like, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
Why? He's the voice of reason in the situation.
So he hides Sonic in his attic, and Robotnik is snooping around outside. And Tom's like, yo, what the fuck you doing outside in my house? Can I help you? And Robotnik's like, I think he says he's like with the gas company or the electric company. He's like, I'm here to investigate, blah, blah, blah. And Tom sees right through that, and they kind of have their own dick measuring contest, and just like, I want to come in. He's like, you can't. And then
Does he eventually say he's a cop?
I feel like he shows him his badge, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
He does show the.
I couldn't remember.
Because he's getting ready to shoot him with one of the drones, and he goes, "You can't do this. I'm a cop." And Robotnik says something
like,
weird.
He says like something about, "Of course I can, because you never existed," or something like
Right.
that.
I guess he was gonna erase him.
Yeah.
So Robotnik eventually goes to leave, and then he sees the giant blue quill, and then realizes something's not up. Something's not right. And the drones show up, and they're about to shoot Tom. And Tom punches Robotnik in the face, and then the drone shoots the fuck out of the house, and Tom and Sonic get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, the part I love is Sonic jumps out and goes, "Oh, it's me, take me, whatever," and then James Marsden just slugs Robotnik, and then I'm like, okay, this guy just told you he was like some kind of government official, and you just punch him across the face for this thing you just met.
He doesn't look like a government official, though.
No.
Yeah.
Right, and he just lied about being part of the electric company. You don't know what he's doing. And he showed up with drones.
Yep. And shot up his goddamn house. They were drones.
You hit 2 drones, man. They were drones. Oh, that's a deep cut right there. I don't know if people are gonna get that.
No, it's fine. Figure it out. Fuck.
Yeah, I got it. That's all that matters.
Send your complaints to @Diaquino122.
Please do. I look forward to it.
So Sonic and Tom hit the road. Sonic says he needs to go to San Francisco to retrieve his bag of rings. And he tells Tom that it's his fault the rings are there, so he has to help him get to San Francisco. And Tom's like, that's true. So I guess I gotta go.
He felt bad about shooting him.
Yeah. But he was also just like, well, he's got me dead to rights. I did kind of shoot him and then let his bag fall in the portal. Rather than just be like, hey, Sonic, here's a map to get to San Francisco and how to get to the Trans-America building. Just follow this. I printed out Google Map. I printed out MapQuest for you.
Yeah, I like how they tried to write around the fact that he could have gotten there in 5 seconds, but he just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah, that was actually one part in the movie that made me laugh out loud a little bit, was when he tells him to just go west. It's just a straight shot west. And then he runs back and he comes back with the fish and the seaweed. And essentially was like, he listened to his literal directions and just kept running west.
A lot of the children in our theater got a kick out of that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
don't
a
know how that
child,
makes you
man.
feel. Yeah. Well, he's like, oh, that's funny.
Listen, it was
It was
funny,
funny.
man. Would you stop being such a
No,
So
listen.
stop being such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it. Understand that's funny stuff.
Stop it.
I am
wild
I
stuff.
am beside myself with laughter.
Man. Okay, so they hit the road. First stop on the road, Tom goes to a gas station to use a payphone to get some snacks. And meanwhile, Sonic sneaks off to a neighboring biker bar. And then he starts having a good time. Tom finds him. And Sonic starts making a bucket list of things he wants to do before he leaves Earth. So they get into a bar fight. A giant bar fight. And this includes a moment like Quicksilver in the X-Men movies where Sonic just goes around the bar and does hilarious stuff to everybody in there.
Yeah, the kid next to me absolutely loved the selfie scene.
Cool.
You know, when he slides up and hits the like that kid didn't make much in terms of laughing or applauding, but he had a belly laugh about that for the rest of that scene.
Did
I
you
feel
ask him to come on the podcast?
No.
Explain what selfies are. What's a selfie? I don't know.
Missed
I don't-
opportunity, Mark. We could have gotten a key demographic.
Damn it.
Yep.
There'll be another one, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Every
but I do
single
want to point
child
out
movie has
since
selfies.
we passed over it real fast is I actually liked Adam Pauly's performance as the basically the cop that didn't
Deputy.
really know what he was doing.
Dim-witted deputy.
Yeah, the
he was
deputy.
good.
Yeah.
I did get a chuckle out of the when the power goes out and he calls Marsden. Like, what do I do? He's like, all right, first relax and then call all these people. And he goes, okay, what was the first thing he told me to do? Relax. And he just sits back and does nothing. It reminds me of me because that's exactly what I would have done. Like, oh well, I'm not doing anything.
So they get into a fight with a bunch of bikers. Eventually, they am-scray after Sonic kind of freezes time basically and kind of moves everybody around. And then they hightail it out of there, go to a motel after the bar fight, and Tom sees the last thing on Sonic's bucket list as he's tucking in Sonic to go to sleep is that all he really wants is to make a real friend. This is where Dan started crying.
Yeah.
I did because I can associate with that. I want a real friend. Just one.
That's true. Yeah, one day you'll get one of those.
I hope so. I'm 33. I could use one right now.
Maybe when you get to 900 likes.
I'm at 881.
19 away from real friend.
Keep talking that shit, Ant. I'm coming for you, bro.
So on the road again the next day, Robotnik tracks them down and sticks his drones on Tom's car, destroys the truck entirely, removing the hood of the entire cab of the truck. But Sonic and Tom team up to destroy Robotnik's drone. It's basically one giant drone. And every time they destroy a piece of it, it gets smaller and more basic until eventually it's just a flying kind of tiny little handheld, like about the size of a golf ball drone.
Yeah, and then I like that they introduced the rolling to hit something mechanic from the games and just had Sonic have the spin attack. And Sonic just had no idea what was going on. Like, this was the first instance of the floss.
The slimming down of the enemy is kind of a thing from the games too, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. So it gets smaller and smaller. He flosses at one point when he destroys it, which was one of two flosses. Eventually, the final drone blows up, though, and Sonic gets knocked out. So Tom has to drive all the way to San Francisco in a truck with no top, as well as a knocked out Sonic. So eventually he arrives at Maddie's sister's house, and as we mentioned, Maddie's sister hates Tom, and he shows up with Sonic in his arms, tried to hide it, but then the dog kind of pulled off the blankets and revealed, oh my god, we have a giant alien hedgehog. Maddie works on Sonic, but he just sort of eventually just sort of wakes up out of it. I don't really remember them doing anything special.
They did the smelling salts, the human smelling salts.
Right. Yeah. That's
and then
right.
he bounces around the room.
That's right. They should have just shot him with adrenaline like in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome. That was so cool.
Well for the kids.
With Maddie just saying, does it look like I have dead hedgehog storage on the front lawn?
Yeah. It was a different part of Pulp Fiction, but that's fine.
No, I'm just saying. You could have meshed it. You're sandbagging me, dude. You're sandbagging me this entire podcast. I'm not going to stand for it.
He wakes up. He wakes up and Maddie's niece gives him his iconic red shoes, and they tie up Maddie's sister and steal her car. And they for some reason let Sonic drive the car to the Transamerica building and sneak onto the roof using some hijinks, including Tom waving his badge around as if that's going to get him anywhere in San Francisco, but for some reason it does. And they're able to grab the rings off the roof just as Robotnik shows up with his drones. So Sonic kicks Maddie and Tom off the building and uses one of his rings to send them back to Green Hills. And then we pick back up where the beginning started, and we see Sonic and Robotnik fighting in San Francisco. And then through the use of a bunch of rings, Sonic jumps to a bunch of different locales, including Paris, the Great Wall of China, etc. Eventually winds up back in Green Hills, where Robotnik eventually has Sonic on the ropes, about to finish him off, when Tom and the other townspeople come to Sonic's aid, sort of like which Spider-Man movie was that? Was that one?
Every single Spider-Man movie.
You mess with Spider-Man, you mess with all of us.
That's our sheriff.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's our sheriff and our weird blue alien guy.
All right, put them all together for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah, with all the
That's
cranes.
the worst one. That's the worst one.
Don't tell that to the people on Twitter. For some reason, they love them some Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. People got rose-colored glasses for a lot of shitty comic book movies these days.
They do.
So Sonic then eventually goes electric again and manages to kick Robotnik through a portal into the Mushroom Planet. And that's the end of Robotnik. He gets sent there and the portal closes. And then they celebrate. Sonic, I think this is where Sonic, does he floss again?
Yes.
I believe
No,
so.
a little bit later.
Oh, is it when they reveal his attic apartment?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
So,
and that is the most realistic moment of like showing that he's like a teenager sort of. Because as I said, I have nieces around 8 and 13, and they will just randomly break into some dance just while standing there and you're talking to them, or you're cooking dinner or something. You'll just turn around and they'll just be dancing for no reason. So him just breaking out that floss because he got the new crib was like, oh yeah, that I've seen that a million times. That's absolutely what somebody in this generation would do.
The weight of the world hasn't crushed them yet. That's why they can just dance whenever they want, Mark.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he sort of gets adopted by Tom and Maddie, and they decide to stay in Green Hills. They move all Sonic stuff into the attic, and then the government shows up and gives them an Olive Garden gift card to stay silent about the whole affair.
Which is the final closing of that joke that's been throughout the movie.
Yeah, that was the important joke that they got. They're like, we nailed it.
Yeah. We skipped over the thing Tom had mentioned, was that while they were painting the house, there was a slow piano version of the Sonic the Hedgehog song.
I missed it. I didn't know
the
it.
opening credits. Yeah, it was a real soft piano sort of.
Yeah, if you weren't listening, like if you didn't know what the Sonic music was, you never would have noticed.
Yeah, you would have missed it.
And
Jenny got up and clapped when they played it. It was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because all the other kids were like, "Did you sit down, ma'am? You're ruining the movie."
Ma'am.
Ma'am.
And she was like, "Shut up! I waited 30 years for this." And I was just like, "Okay." I had to kind of cover my face a little bit, but listen, she enjoyed it. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah. She sounds like she ruined your Valentine's Day.
Well, wouldn't be the first time.
Oh my God.
And that's it for Jen on this podcast.
Yep.
Everybody.
Well, that's it.
See you guys.
That's it for me.
Dan's
Like
marriage is what it's the end for.
That's it for my life, I think. Signing off forever.
And then we get an end credit scene that includes Tails coming to Earth to find Sonic, and then we get Robotnik shaving his head on the Mushroom Planet and just being like, "I'm gonna be home by Christmas."
Yeah, turning into the Robotnik that everybody knows.
Yeah,
with the
the
bald
bigger,
head
bushier
and the bigger bushier mustache. Yeah.
mustache.
Mm,
And
shit.
that's Sonic the Hedgehog.
I honestly think
Thank
more
God.
people in my theater, there was more of a reaction from the people sitting around me, from the adults when Tails showed up than the kids. It was funny.
Because
I
the
think we
kids
got
don't
kind
know
of
who
excited.
Tails is.
Right?
Yeah.
Were we excited?
Well, I think we were expecting it.
Yeah. Well,
We
I
were
think we were either expecting Tails or Knuckles, right?
Yeah.
I was saying plot wise, if they were going, when I saw that there was a scene, I was like, it's going to be one of two people. They're either going to have Tails come out, which is the obvious choice if you're going to do a sequel, which they're obviously going to do a sequel with how much money this made. Or you're going to bring out someone like Amy Rose to be a female hedgehog, for the sequel.
True.
Yeah, but I feel like nobody knows who Amy Rose is.
No,
Probably
but
why
it
they
was,
didn't do it.
Is that the chick he makes out with? Like the real human chick?
no.
2006?
No, that was I don't know that that's canon anymore.
No.
I think they got rid of
Sonic
it.
is the human lady. That's canon.
I've heard about that.
forever. No, Amy Rose is a pink hedgehog.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's going to take the pink hedgehog to his attic apartment and boom.
Yeah.
I think
She's from Sonic CD.
she's gonna ask James Marsden and Tika Sumpter to just give him 20 minutes. Guys, just don't cramp my style, please. All right.
Yeah.
If I have a ring on the outside of the door, that means I'm busy.
And she's infatuated with Sonic, so there's
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
She can
man.
like bend the. She could bend the rules of like time and space or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah, and she has like a gigantic hammer or
Right.
something.
There was a good death battle with her and what's the girl's name from Scott Pilgrim?
Oh, Fiona?
Fiona. Yeah,
Ramona?
Ramona. That's what it was. Ramona.
Oh, that's Ramona.
They fought each other because Ramona has like a purse that has
She has a
it's
bag
like
of holding.
a bag of holding essentially, yeah. And then the same thing with the what's the lady hedgehog's name?
Amy Rose.
Amy Rose.
Amy Rose. Like she's able to like bend continuity or something
Yeah,
along those lines.
Yeah, her thing in the video games is she can triple jump.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like most women. I don't know if you know that.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like literally like they ran out of powers for her.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this is like the fifth character we've introduced. What? She can jump real high. Yeah.
Was
That's
it-
right.
Can't Princess Peach jump very high? Or she could like glide or something like
Yes.
that?
Yes.
All the girls get the weird jumping powers.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
but
kind of sexist if you ask me. I don't
Yeah,
I
so-
don't agree with it. All right, guys.
I mean, Luigi has jumping powers too, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
no one cares about Luigi. They just kind of gave him whatever, and no one really cares, I guess.
Yeah, I still love somebody's theory that while Luigi and Luigi are just the same person, it's just a Fight Club situation.
Oh, that'd be interesting. So I was thinking about doing this, but Jen doesn't like the idea because it would mean she would have to do it. What if I cosplayed as Robotnik at the end? That could be pretty cool.
Yeah, but who would she be?
Amy Rose, obviously.
She could be Tika Sumpter.
No,
There we
just-
go.
She could
Perfect.
be Maddie. I don't
She could
think
be James Marsden.
She could be James Marsden.
Oh,
Gender bent James Marsden.
you just turned Dan on.
I know. There you go.
Should've fully hard.
Went from 6 to midnight. It's getting a
And
little.
I went from midnight to 6.
Oh, well, women can't do that, all right? I don't know if you know the female physiology.
Nope.
But you're incapable of getting that way.
Midnight.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can have a 6 either, unless there's something I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so the end of this movie, what did you guys think of it?
It was an ending. It was a good ending. There were some pretty cool shots in this movie, I thought. Like when Sonic goes Super Saiyan, and you have the Robotnik ship in the background coming out of the ring, and it's all black and red, and it looked cool to me. There was a couple cool shots, but
someone in this movie saw Masters of the Universe before.
yeah, I think everybody saw it. It's a rite of passage. That movie's too good. I liked it. It's a kids movie. I liked it as a kids movie. As a regular movie, I would not have enjoyed it. But you go in thinking it is what it is, and I think it was a good video game movie overall.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Tom.
I still like Mortal Kombat more, but
I was gonna say I think it's probably my favorite video game movie I've ever seen.
Really?
There aren't a whole lot of options, honestly. But
Jen's a big Mario Brothers fan.
the original Mario Brothers?
Yeah, she loves
there's only one.
Right. She likes how they're named Mario and Luigi Mario.
Well, that is.
Why are you
names.
talking for me?
Well, I just figured you were. I know it's very taboo to talk about Mario Brothers, and I just I figured it needed to be out there.
You're weird.
I'm weird. You're the one who likes Mario Brothers.
I guess.
John Leguizamo, that's your bae.
That would be Luigi.
Yeah, Luigi Mario. Who played Mario? That was
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. That's my bae.
And Dennis
I love
Hopper
Bob
played
Bowser.
Cooper?
Yeah,
Bowser.
Or whatever.
such a good movie.
It's so bad. But yeah, I agree with Tom. I haven't seen Detective Pikachu yet to see if that, but from everyone that
I'm surprised you haven't seen that. You were all about it. You were like, I'm going first week.
I kept trying to set up a time to go take my nieces to see it, and then they just had all sports all weekend when I could do it, and then it just went out of theaters, and this was the only movie Sonic I was like, when I saw that terrible first trailer, I'm like, I'm seeing it opening weekend. Absolutely.
I was the opposite. I said it as soon as they said, "Oh, we're gonna change the way it looks," I was like, "Okay, I'll go see it as soon as I can."
I was the only time I've ever been mad about missing out on a movie opening weekend that I was going to jokingly go see was when I found out that they patched Cats after the first week. And I was just like, God damn it. I could have went and saw the terrible missing special effects thing and been part of that, situation.
How much did they really change about that, honestly?
Some of the cats had human hands.
Not good. I think Dame Judi Dench had like her wristwatch and everything. Yeah. I had to make a special arrangement with Jen to see this movie opening weekend. I had to agree to be on the Game Vault podcast to do it. So she did not want to see this movie at all.
Nope, I did not.
Yeah, as you can tell, it was very difficult to get her to go see this.
Man. We're doing this because you guys. We're doing this because you guys have a video game podcast.
Yeah, Jen did not want to do it.
I'm happy to do it.
We could have covered Tammy and the T-Rex.
I mean, that movie's not going anywhere, Ant.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah. This movie, I don't know. It's one of those things where with the release date, I don't know if they had like a list of dates and some person in marketing went, yeah, let's do the joke date of Valentine's Day, or it just was like, this
I think it was like they need 4 months to fix everything.
This felt like it was very much like they would have put it out in like mid to late March to just get it out in Q1.
I just think I feel like if they did that, let's do Valentine's Day, they would have done like a Deadpool-esque marketing campaign.
Sure.
And so that's the joke. Calling attention to the joke is the joke. Them just being like, all right, well, for the 14th of February is when we're coming out with it. That's not a joke.
Well, if they listened to this podcast, they probably would have done that.
It was probably more to do with President's Day weekend.
Yeah, you get the 4-day box office.
That makes sense. Yeah.
What do you guys do to make this better?
Jen, what would you have done? We were talking about it earlier.
Maybe I feel like the whole James Marsden was a terrorist, and then all of a sudden, just kidding, everything's fine. Like, I feel like for a kid's movie, obviously they're not going to button up everything like that, but maybe if they could have showed how they undid that a little bit. I don't know. That was something that
like he goes on trial.
That's a good point.
That he's not a terrorist.
Maybe, or even like when the government shows up and they're like, hey, just letting you know we pulled some strings, and I don't even know.
Right.
That was just like stood out like a sore thumb to me. Other than that, maybe just thrown in a couple more Easter eggs. Like, you guys were pointing out a lot more than what I noticed, so maybe it's just because I know nothing about Sonic. But I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't really ask for much to change because it was a good kids movie, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tom, what about you?
I'm trying to think. Like Jen said, there actually are a lot more Easter eggs in that than I even talked about. I think he actually eats a chili dog at some point.
Yeah. During the bar
right.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
just
callback to
validated.
Mark's joke.
That's my bit.
Yeah, you just validated
Mark's
Mark.
bit. I don't know. It's considering it's a kids movie, you don't really have to tie up everything in a bow like that. But I feel like the government people finding out that Robotnik is like a crazy person, they could have added something like that in, because they kind of just show like they don't realize he's a bad guy. Yeah, I don't know. It's
pretty obvious that he is.
I know, but it's just like, why would the government call on this guy if he literally has a song in his van or whatever that said evil playlist or whatever.
It's the breaker. It says evil lab on it.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
all
listen, the U.S. government isn't privy to a lot of things. They make mistakes.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like they didn't overdo Sonic as much as dumb as that sounds. Because you could very easily overdo a character when it's based around them. But they didn't like go over the edge with Sonic. They didn't make him. I feel like once they changed the way he looked beforehand, before the movie came out, it probably eased a lot of that type of tension too, because people weren't looking for that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I wouldn't change a whole lot. Just a little more story of why Robotnik is bad instead of just, oh, he's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not much I would have changed either. Short of there's parts in the story being an adult, I would want to dive into a little bit more. We've mentioned most of them. I would like to see Neil McDonough's character a little bit more, as like some type of foil to Robotnik. You know, not in terms of a like every so often, you know, they try and do something and Robotnik stops them or, you know, cuts off, like sort of more of a thing between them on the side while they're in Green Hills. Would have been nice because I think it was completely underused having him in this movie. There's not even really any casting stuff. I think Ben Schwartz was fine. I think he did a good job, and they did a good job actually giving Sonic more of a backstory in terms of his personality than I've seen in any of the other media I've seen of Sonic, where they just show how lonely he is. You know, because he's got to stay in hiding, so he makes up these fake friendships and gives them nicknames and, you know, watches movies with them and, you know, goes and does all this stuff, but he's not, you know, completely gung-ho thumbs up Sonic. Like, he knows when the baseball playoffs are, and, you know, he's like a part of the town, but nobody knows about it. And I thought they played into that more than I thought they would, especially being a kid's movie. You know, in that sense, that was good. That would have been, you know, something I would have explored if they didn't. Maybe show another sign of, you know, anything else from a little bit more Sonic lore. You know, maybe have, I don't even know what to do. Maybe when he gets, no, meaning of my sentence with the, maybe when he gets the red shoes, he runs faster. That could have been something, but they didn't have to do much really. It's a perfect kids movie. I think they're going to completely overdo it in the sequel, but I'll still see it. Like, it's going to have Knuckles and it's going to have Tails, and, you know, it's going to be way overdone.
Twice
because
as much flossing.
Twice as much flossing. That's right.
No,
Four flossing.
So he's going to do the what's the other dance called?
They're going to bring back the Dougie.
The robot.
Yeah. They're just going to keep going backwards. Yeah. To the dances. Yeah. Was it the Millie Walk or something like that?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Whip?
Yeah.
Nene?
Yeah. No. There was another
Charleston.
dance. Yeah. There was another. Yeah. He's going to do the Charleston.
The monkey.
That's it.
That's what it was.
Going to do the Charleston.
He's going to do the Charleston on top of the Empire State Building.
That was jitterbugging. I wouldn't do anything to make this better. This movie is not for me, so I'm not gonna bother. It's fine. Some people will probably love it. It's not for me.
I guess I don't get to say what I want to say, so
You could say whatever you want.
You get to
I'll
say
go
nothing.
fuck myself, I guess.
Okay. This episode.
No,
Damn.
I had a really good one.
All right, go ahead.
I'm at 887, by the way.
Okay.
13
more and you get a real friend.
I'm so close. The only thing I change is Sonic steals James Marsden's wife. And then James Marsden's like cool with it. He's like, listen, I can't say I'm on board with this, but goddamn it, do I respect you and
I mean,
just treat her well.
I mean, Sonic, it is 2020. We can have open relationships.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if they turned like a poly relationship in this movie.
We can definitely be a throuple.
Right.
You know.
But then Sonic just goes, no, dude, this is like a and B conversation, so see your way out of it.
Or what? He just kind of like slowly phases Marsden out of the whole relationship.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
And he sends him on a one-way ticket to somewhere, I don't know, some crazy location with one of the rings.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man, we should go on vacation together. And he just like throws the ring, like, oh, I just got to get something. I'll be right back. And he just shoves him into the ring. And,
like Doctor Strange style, just shoves him into like the Arctic.
And the last scene is just Marsden screaming, Sonic!
And then Marsden turns into Robotnik. That'd be great. If Marsden was Robotnik the whole time, but they were friends and in a poly relationship with their wife, and then Sonic phases Marsden out of the throuple,
right?
And then Robotnik becomes the Robotnik we know and love.
There you go.
God damn it, guys! I think we did it again.
We did, of course. Are you surprised? We do this every week.
Of course, this movie, like the sequel would be probably Robotnik versus Sonic, but the first movie would obviously have to have very hardcore sex scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be, he goes out, stops crime, back to the attic for penetration, crime, penetration. Crime, penetration, and this goes on for 90 minutes.
And just make sure that the sex scenes are really drawn out, like body of evidence.
Yeah.
And Sonic never got the redesign, so he's got those human teeth.
Yeah. And now he looks like Willem Dafoe for some reason.
You stepped over the line there.
Just bearing it as he orgasms, just bearing his teeth.
Oh, and with that Ben Schwartz voice. Terrible. It's just terrible. That's Jen is cringing right now.
I'm regretting so many of my choices today.
Well, just now.
Actually,
being on the podcast, seeing the movie, marrying Dan.
Yep.
Ever meeting any of us.
It's a cornucopia of regret.
Yeah. You're sure you want him on our podcast, right?
Well, you guys
are a nice guy.
Why wouldn't we want a nice guy on our podcast?
It's very true.
All right. All right. I guess that's gonna wrap it up. You guys want to plug the Game Vault podcast?
Sure. We are on all social media stuff at Game Vault Pod on Twitter, at Game Vault Podcast on Instagram. You can find our actual podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps. On iTunes, Google Play, all those. We also stream a few times a week. Every other Monday, we stream our Retro Roulette game, which is our retro game. We pick at random from my shelf. Mm-hmm. And Thursdays is kind of a grab bag. So we're still trying to figure out who wants to play what when. So
so actually, this will go up on Thursday morning. So that should be the next one that streams.
Yep. We should be streaming tonight then. Yeah. It'll most likely be Mark or Jenny, but we'll figure that out. The Twitch channel is twitch.tv/The Game Vault Podcast because I couldn't get anything to match. So it's all different.
Great. Dan, you had some plugs this week, right?
I did. Yeah. I wanted to plug a good friend of ours Tia from Geek Vibes Nation and her top 10. So make sure to check out the Top 10 with Tia, a weekly podcast where Tia and her crew tackle a number of entertaining topics like the top 10 movies of the year or the top 10 worst on-screen couples like Jeremy Renner and whoever he's with.
Damn, you gotta do me like that.
This podcast has it all, so do not miss out. Once again, Top 10 with Tia, a weekly podcast. They're good people. She is very lovely. I enjoy speaking with her. We do a podcast together every now and then for Geek Vibes Nation. So yeah, give them a look-see.
Okay. And that's on the Geek Vibes Nation streaming.
Correct. Right? Yeah. Visit geekvibesnation.com. You'll find it there.
GVNation.com.
GVNation.com, even better. Why is it GV Nation? Why not just, you know what? That's neither here nor there. And then you can find me and all my awesome 800 like tweets at Diaquino122. It's really sad that the tweet that got the most likes is Harley Quinn flossing. That's so sad.
In the future, when we could put gifts on tombstones, that's gonna be yours.
And I would have deserved it. That's my life. Just something that really took no effort to put on there, and that's what I'll be remembered as.
There you go. You want to plug Stranger Damies as well? We'll let Mark do that.
Well, I'll plug the Stranger Damies Twitter at Stranger Damies and the Instagram, same thing, at Stranger Damies, for all the awesome tweets and awesome artwork. So if you have any artwork or if you want to talk to us, just DM us, hit us up. We'll be more than happy to speak with you.
Yes, and please send over some artwork. Jen's running out of things to draw. So we need some things from the community here. So please send those over.
Mark, do you want to plug your new Stranger Damies project?
Yeah. So I'm doing the probably insane thing because, I don't have anything else to do. On top of editing and posting Stranger Damies every Wednesday, we're coming up on the session that gets into episode 100. Lots of crazy stuff happened over the next month here. But I've also started a Wikia for Stranger Damies. It's strangerdamies, I believe, .fandom.com. Yeah, that's it.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
So right now I just did basic stuff just to kind of fill the pages so the tutorial stopped bothering me. So if you guys want to go and add stuff in there, feel free. I got to make separate pages for each of you, meaning the Wild Stallions themselves. So if somebody wants to go and do that for me out in the community, feel free. But right now it's very basic. So hopefully by, I would imagine, the end of the month it might look a little better. So be on the lookout for that. That's I think it's stranger-damies .fandom.com. So I've been working on that. We're just trying to do some new things with the Stranger Damies stuff to get the community, a little more involved, and get you guys, because you asked such great questions for talking to strangers, that we thought we need to do a little more for you.
Okay. Jen, you got anything to plug?
Nope.
What about your Twitter? You have
My
a
Twitter? I don't use Twitter that much.
Well,
I have a Twitter that I look at it sometimes. It's Jenny __Quino. I mean, Tom already mentioned it, but if you're in the mood to watch some video games, we're going to be streaming quite a bit. So go on Twitch and find the Game Vault podcast and check us out.
And I would imagine if you guys have any, the listeners, if you have any games that you want to see streamed, I'm sure you guys would be more than happy to accommodate them, right?
Yeah, I think we're always up for suggestions. Any kind of feedback or interaction really is welcome.
Okay. And that's going to wrap it up, unless Mark had one last thing that he wanted to try and squeeze in there.
Nope, I was just agreeing with Jen.
Oh, okay.
Thanks,
I agree
Mark.
with you too, Jen.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right.
Me too.
Thanks, John.
Tom.
Just kidding.
Dan disagrees.
I was like, what the hell?
Dan just looked at me so surprised.
That's gonna wrap it up for this week. This has been They Call This a Movie. You can find us on all podcast streaming apps at They Call This a Movie. Just search They Call This a Movie. We should pop right up. We're on Google Play Podcast. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher, iTunes, Overcast. Wherever you get your podcast, we should surely be on there. We're themaindamey.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all just searching The Main Damey. And we're also part of Geek Vibes Nation, as Dan had mentioned. You can find them at gbnation.com and on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Geek Vibes Nation. And again, anywhere you could get your podcasts, they're there. Just search for Geek Vibes Nation. They've got us. They've got Stranger Damies, and they got a bunch of shows that we don't even have anything to do with, but they're all great shows, regardless of Dan not being on there and his 888 like tweet.
88. Live update.
So that's I'm at Antelvec. You could find me there at Twitter. We would love if you can go on to iTunes and give us a review, rate and review us. They call this movie. That helps us get seen. I know every podcast basically says that, and it is true. The algorithm is fucked.
Yeah, say whatever you want. Just make sure you give us 5 stars.
Yeah. Or just leave a review. That's all I care about. Yeah. Say we're great. Say we suck, but give us 5 stars. If you have any questions, comments, you want to suggest a movie to us, you could reach us at themaindamey@gmail.com. And that's going to wrap us up. So I want to thank our guests today, Jen and Tom, for joining us for this episode, as well as my loyal podcast hosts, Dan and Mark. And this has been Sonic the Hedgehog. So the director of Sonic the Hedgehog is one Mr. Jeff Fowler. So for Dan, Mark, Jen, and Tom, this is Anthony Del Vecchio telling Jeff Fowler to go fuck himself.